How's everyone's day going?
Productive.
Good.
Perfect.
Perfect. Wow. That's bold.
Yeah, you believe it, huh?
Hi, Judy. I just saw you.
Oh, hi, Shell. You have a little tuna on your lip.
Yep. As well as some onion rings.
Yeah.
Onion rings.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
onion
All
rings
this-
for lunch.
Talk earlier about tacos and ice cream, now onion rings.
We used to talk about the chili relleno the other night.
Oh, that was good.
Andy.
That was good.
I feel kind of like right now, I feel kind of like I often feel at home. We have some neighbors to the behind us. There's a fence and then there's kind of a hill that goes down to the neighbor's house. So we sort of can look down on their yard, and they have a much bigger house and a much bigger yard than we do. And they have a really big swimming pool that they just put in a few months ago. And every time we have a nice hot day, they're certainly out there just rubbing it in our faces, just trying to make us feel bad.
Have you gotten to know them?
No,
Well, there you go.
we've been trying to figure out a good excuse to introduce ourselves, but they're sort of like, to get to their house, you have to go around the block the other way. So they're not, it would be awkward if we just showed up at their door to introduce ourselves.
Throw a volleyball over the fence.
Ooh, that's
Your name on it. With your name on it and your address.
Or your phone number.
And well,
Yeah.
no, we'll throw a ball over the fence and then we'll bring Ezra the baby with us so that he looks really, really cute.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have him like wearing swimming trunks or, you know,
No, that's not settled enough.
a pool toy with him or something.
How come you're not outside today?
What's that?
Why aren't you outside or is that only for state of business?
Just stay the business
That's
outside
Why are we not in the GRA for this?
for
Oh,
now.
that's true.
It's a good question. And I think we'll talk about that actually in a little bit.
Oh, electric services? No, BMW. Oh. I paid my car off.
I just saw the news that Kendall Bonney is the new executive assistant. Outstanding choice.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good afternoon. We will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here as always. As a reminder, we're now having these community chats pretty much every other week, the second and fourth Thursdays of each month. Did I get that right? Second and fourth?
Yeah.
At 1:30. Obviously, all of you know that it's today at 1:30. So thank you for being here. We won't have a chat next week, but and then the following week will be state of the business meeting already. So we'll see you either in the Fountain Court or possibly in the GRA in 2 weeks for state of the business.
Hey, Bradley, I
Yes.
didn't see any notices except on Cubico about this scheduled meeting. And we still have a lot of people who are not using Cubicle and who might want to come if they knew about it.
Thank you for mentioning that. So on that note, we are in the midst of conducting a survey of the preferred, to find out the preferred methods or means of communication between us and each of our residents.
I know.
We had,
I got your son, got you in there.
if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to complete this survey that you can find either on TLG Connect or they're available at the concierge desk. There's some copies available, and then drop them in the red drop box that's in the Galleria next to the water station. What we're trying to do is update and have a complete and updated list of residents that do prefer not to have written communication documents, flyers, reminders distributed to them, and which ones prefer to receive them, so that we can work on effectively sharing communication about upcoming events, meetings, activities, events, etc.
But Bradley, however people prefer to get their written communications, that doesn't preclude putting up notices about events that are important like this in the elevator or wherever. And those things are important reminders.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that as well. I think right before we got started, somebody had mentioned that they saw the announcement of a new executive assistant. And I am super excited to share that Kendall Bonney will soon be our new executive assistant. Kendall has been with us for several years now. And she started off originally in buildings and grounds, and she was I think her official title was office clerk, providing administrative support to the buildings and grounds team. She's moved through a couple different positions. She had a brief stint in human resources, and most recently has been working in the medical records department in the health center. I am quite proud of myself that I was able to steal her away successfully from the health center team. They fought me hard because she's so good. They didn't really, but she is really, really fantastic at all that she does, and it's been really, really great in medical records. So it will be a big loss for that team. But we are immediately starting recruiting to fill that position. And Kendall will be moving in officially to the executive assistant positions on August 9th. Although we're going to start earlier than that with transitioning some responsibilities to her. And it will most likely she'll still maintain a few of her responsibilities in medical records until we have somebody trained and fully in that position. So it'll be a phased transition. And one of the many responsibilities that Kendall will have is relate to, or some of the many responsibilities that she will relate to communication. And that will include keeping the signs in the elevators current and up to date, keeping things fresh and relevant on TLG Connect, as well as many, many other things. Kendall is absolutely perfectly suited for that position. And I look forward to everything that she will be able to do to support me, support the administrative team, support the advisory board and resident committees as well.
Hooray. From me.
Yeah, I know
It
that.
couldn't be a better choice.
I agree. And if anyone disagrees, I'll meet you in the back and we can talk about it.
It out.
No, I'm just kidding. No, Kendall's fantastic. And I mean, she would be fantastic in any position. But I think this position suits her very, very well. And she'll be able to, we're going to slightly shift some of the responsibilities of that position. So it may look a little different over time, and with the goal of adding more value to the community. Also, another announcement that you may have seen already, Erica Amador Ruiz, she's been the activity coordinator in the lodge. She will also be transitioning to a new role. She'll be moving into the Grove and moving into the memory care activity coordinator position. And Erica also has been with us for several years in various positions, starting off in the dining room as a server years ago. And she is excited for this new opportunity, and we are excited for her as well. So her official start date as well, I believe, is the same, August 9th. We have already interviewed several candidates for the assisted living activity coordinator position to replace her. And we had some very, very strong candidates already interview, several of which I think would be great fits. And so we should know, hopefully within the next week, I would anticipate within the next week and a half, we'll have a replacement solidified to take over the activities in the lodge. And all right, a few other items to mention. We have a couple of upcoming events that I just want to make sure everyone is aware of. Two of them, which take place, are scheduled to take place on July 29th, so a week from today. We have a special presentation, Terry Schaup from the TLG Foundation Resident Committee. He will be presenting a presentation in the GRA at 1:30 a week from today. So 23 hours and 50 minutes from now. Please come to the GRA, and Terry will be providing some education about what it is the TLG Foundation does, some of the programs and projects that it has supported and continues to support, and ways that residents can be involved with some of the various projects that the foundation has. So 1:30 a week from today in the GRA. And I've been reminded to make it very clear that we will not be asking for any donations at the presentation. So it's strictly informative. If you want to leave Terry a tip, I'm sure he'd gladly put it in the pot for the foundation. But that's not the goal of this event a week from today. It's just to share information and answer questions that anyone may have. Judy? Yes.
Anita Fraley will be there if anybody want to have a private conversation with Anita. She's the VP of Philanthropy for Human Good, and she'll be there and available.
Thank you for mentioning that. And also on the same day, a little later that afternoon at 4 o'clock, I think, meet and greet, where we'll have the opportunity to get to know some of our newer residents. And that is also in the GRA, I think. Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So again, next Thursday at 4 o'clock in the GRA for the meet and greet. And I've failed to ask, I should have asked at the beginning. I've muted everybody, but feel free to unmute yourselves at any time. Are there any new residents that are joining us on this chat for the first time? Okay. Well, if there are, welcome. We're glad that you're here. Let's see. I had mentioned the survey. If anyone, for any latecomers, this survey, if you haven't had a chance to complete it, please do so. It is very quick, very easy. One question, and you don't even need to write anything. You just need to check a box. Well, I guess you need to write your name as well. But there's copies available if you need them at the concierge desk, and please drop the completed surveys in the red drop box in the Galleria. Also, Zumba, for those that are involved in Zumba class on Saturday, 24th is canceled. I don't know the reason, but it's canceled this week. It'll be pick up again next week.
Bradley, we don't know the reason either. And it would be helpful if when cancellation notices are posted, if some reason could be given, even if it's instructor unavailable or, whatever, just how come it's canceled.
Great, thanks. I'll pass that comment along. Let's see, a couple of other items. There's something about this. I don't know if the weekly updates has gone out yet today, but there's a snippet in the weekly updates today that talks about resident IT support. And I wish I had something more satisfying to say, other than I apologize if you have a pending IT request that is floating out there. As some of you know, we've really struggled for a while now keeping up with our resident IT support. Our on-site IT administrator is no longer with us as of a little over a week ago, and we are working through following up on some of the pending tickets requests that are still out there. There are several, and we've been able to reach out to quite a few other residents and be able to support them and provide the necessary assistance. But we know there's still quite a few that are still pending. We have I have a couple of updates. I've interviewed 4 people now, and I've got one more interview within the next few days for a full-time on-site IT tech. A few of the candidates are very strong, and we'd be fortunate to have them. Hopefully we'll be able to make an announcement within the next week or two. In the meantime, we have hired several new team members in various roles over the past few weeks. One of which is a concierge who is working today. You may have met him today or over the last couple of days. Gavin. Gavin has been working with Val today, and Gavin is going to have several hours each week allocated to providing resident IT support. And this will be in addition to our IT administrator once they are hired. And this is something that we will continue as needed. Gavin is here in town for a few months. He's a local from Los Gatos, but he is attending school up in Washington. And so he'll be with us for a few months until he goes back up to Washington for school. And so he has graciously accepted the request to help fulfill some of the resident IT needs while he's with us. So we don't have a confirmed schedule yet as far as when he'll be providing IT support. But actually immediately after this, I'm going to be working closely with him and our IT team from the Community Support Center to provide some training for him. And by next week, he'll be reaching out to those with pending IT needs to help resolve them.
Bradley, I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one is, are we, in the meantime, should we continue putting in IT requests? And the second one is, who is the new full-time IT support person going to report to, here or corporate?
First question, yes, continue to put requests in the same way that historically you have. Starting next week, you should receive responses back from someone much quicker than you have, at least, especially over the past few weeks. And so you can submit requests either through TLG Connect, through the IT, it's called IT support or IT help or technology. I don't remember the IT cube on TLG Connect. And then, or you can contact the concierge and they can put in a request for you. Once there is a full-time person that's hired, they will be reporting to the IT team at the Community Support Center.
Will they also be getting directions from them in terms of what they're to do? I'm looking to see if we're going to continue to have the same conflicts.
There have been no structural changes to that position at this time. And so for those of you who may not know, what Linda's alluding to is that occasionally our on-site IT techs, they have responsibilities to provide support to nearby communities, primarily nearby affordable housing communities. And so occasionally they need to be off-site providing support for those communities, which obviously pulls time away from our community here. So our goal with Gavin moving into the at least temporary position he's in is to kind of gauge what additional support we need to provide at the community level to make sure all of the resident IT needs are met. So once Gavin leaves and goes back to school, or as he prepares to leave to go back to school eventually in a few months, we'll have a better idea of what we need to do at the community level to continue to provide adequate support for residents.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see. Who wants to talk about COVID? Everyone's tired of hearing about COVID, but I've received a few questions, and so I'd like to just share a little bit of information regarding COVID and COVID precautions. Throughout the organization, we've had over the course of the last few weeks a little bit of a peak or a little bit of a spike incline in COVID-19 cases amongst both residents as well as team members. Fortunately, we haven't had any positive cases here at the Terraces de los Gatos since early March, and we're obviously hoping that it remains that way. I think we got up to 26 or 28 total positive cases throughout the organization a week or two ago. And we are back down throughout all the human communities to 14 positive cases currently. There's seven residents and 7 team members throughout the organization that are active positive. I've had some questions about vaccination status of those that have tested positive. And I don't know specific details about each case. However, anecdotally, in conversation I've had with executive directors and other people within the organization, quite a few, and I know that's an extremely scientific number, quite a few of those that tested positive had been fully vaccinated, and so they'd be considered breakthrough cases. Fortunately, those that were vaccinated have had, from what I understand, mild symptoms, if any symptoms at all, which is good. We've had a few, I believe, hospitalizations, couple, 2 or 3 residents, I believe, that have been hospitalized recently. No deaths as that I'm aware of, which is good, obviously. Number of cases throughout the county are rising. We had a call with Santa Clara County Department of Public Health yesterday. Yesterday. And positive cases are increasing. We're up to over 110 average daily new cases throughout the county. And the mortality rate hasn't significantly increased, which is good. But there's still quite a bit of waiting and seeing to be done. Over the course of the next few weeks, it'll give us a better idea of what we may need to anticipate in the coming weeks and months. But it is a reminder that we need to remain as diligent as we possibly can to keep ourselves safe and keep our residents and team members safe and healthy. There's a few changes based on that call with public health and some other changes that we either have or will soon be making. Some positive, I guess, some anyways, so some of the things that we will anticipate over the course of the next few days. There's a recommendation now from public health that team members re-implement the use of eye protection while providing direct resident care. And so that could be in the form of some types of eyewear, goggles, or other protective eyewear or face shields. And so over the course of the next few days, you'll probably see more team members out and about wearing protective eyewear or face shields. That is not because of any specific concern to the terraces of Los Gatos. Don't want to set off any alarms, but that's a general recommendation for all communities throughout the county at this time. Also, we've received some questions about testing protocols and what our current protocols are. A couple of months ago, as vaccination rates have increased and infection rates, at least at that time, were decreasing significantly, there was a change to the testing guidelines for team members. Unvaccinated or partially vaccinated team members continue to be tested on a weekly basis. But the change a month or two ago was that fully vaccinated team members only needed to be tested if they had prolonged exposure or they were symptomatic. Otherwise, there's no recommendation to provide ongoing surveillance testing. Our team here at the terraces, we've decided that we are going to re-implement routine testing for all team members, regardless of vaccination status. And so our unvaccinated team members will continue to be tested every week. At this time, our fully vaccinated team members will be tested on a monthly basis, and it'll be on a rotation, so that we are continually testing at least a segment of all of our vaccinated team members, so that if there are any breakthrough cases that of team members that are asymptomatic, we'll be able to identify them and take the appropriate precautions. And so we'll do that until something changes. So that's a testing protocol for now. Residents can be tested upon request, and they can contact the wellness department, or they can contact Dana Concepcion, our infection preventionist, directly, and schedule testing to be done. A couple of other COVID-19 or precautionary items to mention. We've received some questions about the pool, and after quite a bit of deliberation, we've decided that we will continue to not permit outside visitors in the pool at this time, because people that are in the pool that typically don't have masks on, and oftentimes those that like to use the pool are children, which aren't able to be vaccinated. Until further notice, only residents permitted in the pool. Fitness center, we are actually making some changes, I guess positive changes, depending on how you look at it. We're going to be increasing the capacity in the fitness center from 4 to 8. So 8 residents will be able to utilize the fitness center at the same time, if there happen to be 8 residents that want to use it at the same time. We're going to be removing the sort of hanging plastic barriers that were put up there. And so you'll see that change as well. And masks are still and will continue to be required for anyone that is utilizing the fitness center. And lastly, well, a couple of other items on that topic. Masks still require masks throughout the community. So thank you for wearing those. I know they're an absolute pain, and we're all super tired of them. But it is working, and especially as we're having more and more visitors here in the community, we want to make sure that we continue to keep the community safe, and that's that, along with vaccinations, is the most effective way to keep our community safe. On the subject of vaccinations, our current vaccination rate for residents is 98%. 98% of residents have been fully vaccinated, and 91% of team members have been fully vaccinated. And I think that is it on that note. If you have visitors that are coming to your home and you've been fully vaccinated, and the visitors have been fully vaccinated, public health guidelines indicate that you can safely remove your masks and comfortably enjoy a mask-free visit, as long as everyone involved has been fully vaccinated. One resident told me the other day, as much of a pain as some of these precautions are, especially the masking, because of those precautions, and especially because of the vaccination rates of residents and team members, Terraces de los Gatos really is one of, if not the safest place that any of us could be. And so that brings me, that hearing that from a resident, sort of putting that into perspective was comforting. And I want to thank all of you for playing such an integral role in keeping our community as safe as it can be. And that's all I've got. So unmute yourselves, and any questions that you may have, or comments or feedback, let me know.
Hey, Bradley, back to the new hire situation. Do we have any new hires for wellness?
We do. We've hired two new nurses have started over the course of the last week or two, which is exciting. And we have two more that are in the pipeline that will be starting within the next couple of weeks. We've also a team member that is a certified nursing assistant, Crystal Gutierrez, who has been working in the health center. She's actually moved into a new role as well in wellness, and she's providing, at least for now, her primary role is providing administrative support to the wellness team, alleviating some of the administrative responsibilities from the nurses, so that they can dedicate more of their time and attention to providing nursing care for residents. So there's some good progress in the wellness department, and we're working on making some additional changes, adding a few more team members to that department with a few more responsibilities. More information will be shared in the next probably 2 weeks on that.
Good news. Thank you, Bradley.
You're welcome. One of the things that we haven't been staying on top of, unfortunately, but we will soon get back on track, is announcing new team members on TLG Connect, so that you could see them on the app, and then also on the digital signs throughout the community and the in-house TV channel. So in the coming weeks, you should see that. We've had quite a few new team members that have joined our team over the course of the last really several months, and we haven't been able to we haven't formally announced them coming, which is hard for residents to get to know them if we don't announce them. So especially as Kendall moves into her new role, that will be something that you'll be seeing more of, to get to know our new team members better. Also, I just got an update from Vincent. There is still ongoing discussion on the trees near the pool area. I think originally it was announced that they were going to be removed, but then there were some legitimate concerns about that plan that were brought up. So Vincent is working with the tree experts, as well as some residents that are involved or aware of the situation, to decide what the best option will be. And more, I think they're going to be out on Monday of next week to reassess the situation. There's also, I believe we've received some of the new patio furniture for the pool area and the P deck, as well as the lodge and health center patios. There's a few items, I think tables that were back ordered that still haven't been delivered, but that should be here hopefully soon, but I don't think we have a date yet on when the back ordered items will be here. The P deck is the new new furniture up there now.
Yeah, it's up there, but the table is not positioned correctly, so they need to do that yet. But the furniture itself is really comfortable. People who hadn't seen it before have sat on it and really liked it. And I've heard some feedback in the health center that the people up there are liking the tables and chairs also.
Oh, good.
Bradley, this is Susan, and I talked to Diana. When they removed some of the old furniture, there were wood slivers, wood chips, plus all of the debris that was under the huge, heavy round tables there that really couldn't be cleaned up. And I asked her if she could possibly get that area cleaned before the tables and the chairs are positioned. And she said yes.
Okay.
You know, Diana is kind of an unsung hero around here. She does an extraordinarily good job, I think.
I agree.
Bradley, this is Judy.
Yep, Judy, go ahead.
I have a comment about the old excess furniture. There's on the second floor of building L, there's a huge area with nothing in it. No chairs, no furniture, no nothing. And I think it would be nice if a few of the excess chairs could be put in that area. People might like to have a little private conversation, or I don't know, it just looks like a big empty cavern. It would be nice if we could use some of the excess furniture there.
Okay, great. I'll pass that along to Vincent and.
It seems a shame to just throw it away. So if we can reuse some of it, why not?
I think that seems like a good suggestion. Thank you. And there also, just to update everyone, there were some repairs or upgrades made to specifically to the elevator in the N building, which has been the most problematic of our elevators over the years. And that those repairs were made on Monday. I don't know the exact technical details of what was done, but there were a few parts that were worn and were replaced. And we also are close to, it's been in the works for quite a long time, but we've been waiting on, or the vendor at least has been waiting on some of the necessary supplies to do upgrades to all of our elevators. So there'll be an internal upgrade, interior upgrades on most of the elevators, and some mechanical upgrades as well to make sure that our elevators continue to or function to the best of their ability, and also so that they look a little nicer, because they've gotten fairly beat up over the years. I think I didn't write it down and have it with me right now, but I want to say it's around the second week of August. They're scheduled to start on that work, but as we get closer and we have confirmed dates, we'll make sure that everybody is aware. We're also, or Vincent, the buildings and grounds team is in the process, or soon will be in the process of repainting some of the stairwells, and specifically I think they're working on buildings N and D. first. I know that's something that's come up over the last few months. As we've improved the lighting in the stairwells, it has brought to light some of the repainting that needs to be done in the stairwells. So I think we're repainting the buildings D and N, and then all the other buildings we're gonna just turn the lights back down. All right, what else is?
So on that note, the area right outside of third floor building L is still really, really dirty. It looks like we live in some kind of a housing project. And now there's some litter on the floor too, I guess, that people have dropped on their way out of building L.
The outside staircases at the P level, where I go down to the basement, those could use a sweeping as well.
Okay.
Also, for a while, the workmen were wearing foot coverings, so they didn't track as much stuff into the elevators and into the walkways as they are now. It might be helpful for them to resume putting the shoe covers on again.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning that.
Bradley, this is Susan. And several years ago, the Q elevator was updated and what looked like wooden panels were installed. And I went to, I believe it was Rick, and I said, I'm really concerned with the way all the movers and all of the construction workers bang stuff around. Those are going to get damaged. And there were some kind of cloths, padding, that they could hang on the little rivets or whatever in the elevator. And once or twice I did see it happen, but that was a long time ago. And I noticed that the Q elevator recently was pretty dinged up. I don't know if it was construction or if it was a mover, because both were happening at the same time.
Yes, that has been that was an item that's been priority as we've been planning the upgrades to the other elevator interiors, is to make sure that they're set up to very easily be protected, especially during move-ins and move-outs. So there's a plan in place to help that, and hopefully that will not be an issue with the updated or refreshed elevators in the coming months. Let's see what else.
I have one question.
Yeah.
You don't act or look like a workaholic, but it seems like you're always working, even late in the evening. You're sending emails and chats and things, and it makes me think you work a lot, more than we see.
Is that a question?
Well, you can elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to respond to that. It's a busy job. That being said, I am very excited for Kendall to move into her new role. I mentioned we're going to be sort of restructuring that position a little bit. And one of the things is that she's going to be providing a little more direct support to me. Also, I have to say, yeah, I kind of work weird hours sometimes, but also I try to do it discreetly, but there are often times where I may be, slip out at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock because I get an urgent text message from Amy that the baby's screaming and she needs to be on a Zoom call. And so It's certainly not a regular 9-to-5 job, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm excited for Kendall to start working closely with me.
I don't know any of the other executive directors who jump in and fill as many staff roles that are not currently being filled as you do here. And I think that's part of what makes the terraces special. But on the other hand, it makes it hard on the executive director. Just so you know, people notice.
Well, thank you. I think I don't know how to respond to that, but duly noted. No, I also enjoy what I do, so that makes it easier as well, even when it, hours sometimes maybe a little longer than some would like. Let's see, anything else? If there's any compliments for me, I mean, I'd graciously take them.
This is Ruby, and I'm wondering if you have any update on the Galleria remodel.
I do not. Nothing substantive, at least. Hopefully by state of business meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have some more information to share, but nothing that would be satisfying to share, at least at this time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Ruby, I probably don't even want to ask this because I'm afraid I know the answer, but is the telephone in the Notions and Needs working?
No, it's still a part of it sitting on the counter and wires hanging out of the wall. So nope, it's not fixed. Sorry.
I should have asked. Well, no, don't. I'm sorry that it has not yet been fixed. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I know we had a little discussion 2 weeks ago about whether to resume or continue meeting virtually or resume, as we previously did, in-person chats. These next couple of weeks are going to be, I think, very telling in terms of COVID and if we're going to be moving in a good direction or if we're going to have to start moving back in the direction that we were several months ago. Obviously, we all hope that that's not the case. I'd like to be able to, I mean, we could, with the current guidelines, meet in person. But we'll wait and see over the next week or so. What I anticipate we will likely do, whether it be during our next chat or a little later, is doing kind of a hybrid. One of the things that I've found to be very beneficial over the past year and a half is that we've been able to have chats like this and residents that otherwise wouldn't or couldn't be able to participate are able to participate, even if they're just watching it on their television as an observer, not necessarily an active participant. And so that is wonderful. And I want to make sure that we do all that we can to continue to include those residents in as many ways as we can. So we'll probably sort of similar to as we've done with State of the Business, take sort of a hybrid approach and meet in person and also have it available virtually. So we'll make official, we'll share some communication between now and I guess 2 weeks from now is State of the Business, but before the next community chat, we'll share the details of exactly how we'll be handling that one. Anything else, or shall we end 8.5 minutes early? All right. Well, thank you all so much, as always, for joining. It has been a pleasure. Thanks for keeping our community safe. Thanks for looking out for each other and looking out for our team members as well. And have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, Bradley.
Thank you, Bradley.
Thank you.
Thank you.